Hey everyone, welcome. Bess McCarty, Victoria, Kansas here, and welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Today we are covering this book by John Maxwell, Winning with People. And today is the patience principle. And that means that you can go farther if the journey with others is slower. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And he talks about why relationships are worth it, why it's the benefit of traveling with other people. So just to introduce this show, it is every Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and usually presented by Jeffrey, David Gamble, and Brandy Pember. I'm here on Wednesdays, though, and we cover about one book a month, one personal growth book a month. So this is your place to get your personal growth in. It's said that we need to do about 30 to 60 minutes of personal growth a day for optimal success. And this is where you can get that in. Just, join along here. And welcome, Patrice. How are you? I'm just about to message you today. How's your move going? So personal growth. we need that, don't we? And communication and relationships are central to business, to family, to our emotional health, even our physical health. So it's quite a wonderful topic here. And welcome, Mary. Glad to see you. If you're watching the replay, please type that in because I'd like to thank you for watching and also like to hear where you're from and what's the weather like there. Here in Victoria near Hayes, Kansas, kind of the central western Kansas, it's 90s, almost 100 this month. This is our first really hot summer month. But I'm growing some flowers, marigolds, seeds, hope to be coming up soon. And watering the things that need to be out here. So this show is sponsored by this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, sponsored by the MLM Millionaire Academy, our generic school for network marketers. It's been in existence almost over 10 years, and Jeff Gamble and I teach in this school. And our purpose of that and this show is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. So we're glad you're here. The school, we invite you to take a look at it because it teaches the very best practices I've ever seen in all of network marketing and all of my years of being a full-time network marketer in the last 10 years, curating the best teachers in network marketing. And Jeff evolved this method. We ended up teaching it in the school the last 2 years, and I've had people jumping ranks. It's a method that we call the favor script. It always gets a yes, doesn't get objections. It's super simple, duplicatable. It's the easiest way I know to grow your business fast and to get your new recruit trained real fast and easy too. And don't we need this in this time? Isn't time essential and simplicity essential? So we invite you to check it out. You can check it out at the MLMMillionaireClub.com/basics. MLMMillionaireClub.com/basics. And I'll post a link below. It's posted on all the others. By the way, you can watch this show at our Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And you can scroll down there and find all the replays, and you can find the links to the school and everything there. So we certainly invite you. And welcome, Mika. How are you? Working online a lot. Yeah, cool. Cool, Patrice. Awesome. And Mika, my social media expert, is on. Follow her because she's good, you guys. She's wonderful to work with. We're having a good time. And if you look on my YouTube channel, Bess McCarty, you'll see some of her artwork. So we're having a good time. And she's, everybody who's an internet marketer anyway can use that online help. So, okay. The book. This is really, really a cool topic. I present every Wednesday on the book that we're on, and I think it's no mistake that I get certain chapters that seem to be meant for me, like the exact lesson that I'm working on. This one is called The Patience Principle. And it says, John Maxwell says, the journey with others is slower than the journey alone. I like to put it and remind myself of this saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And I think that I've been a person a lot of my life who has said, oh, I've got these great ideas. Other people are slower, so just let me go ahead and implement my ideas. It's quicker to do it alone. I can have it my way. I don't have anybody, challenging me. I can have it all my way. But guess what? It doesn't turn out as well, because more heads are better than one. More opinions and more people on the team with more talents and viewpoints. So let alone you enjoy the people and the love. And y'all remember that story, don't you, of the handicapped kids, the physically and mentally handicapped kids who were running a race. And one of them was near the finish line, but happened to look and see one of his friends and competitors in the race, saw them stumble and went back to help them. Instead of winning to that boy meant helping his friend. So he went back and helped him up, and they walked together across the finish line. And that is a model to me, something that I aspire to, to be that loving, that compassionate, and have my priorities that much in order. So now when I slow down to help people, I think, okay, I feel right somehow, like it feels good, like, okay, Bess, your priorities are right. I'm proud of you, You've grown this much finally in your long life, that you took this many years for you to get your priorities in their right place. You're doing good right now. That's how I feel now when I slow down to help others. And John says, for the friendship of two, the patience of one is necessary. At least one person needs to be patient. And the question I must ask myself is, do I take others with me even when it's inconvenient? Like that story of the challenged boy or team. And we've heard the saying that no one ever succeeds alone. It really takes a team. And since this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, it's pretty appropriate to remember that it takes a team always. I mean, hardly anywhere do you see it in network marketing, right? And there's no competition for spots in corporate. It's always a win-win-win. When you help somebody in network marketing, it helps you and it helps the whole as well. So nobody, takes each other's spot in network marketing. There's no first winner. Everyone can be a winner. In fact, the more we help people, the more that it benefits us and everyone too. So I'm going to share just a few things that John shared in here that, just jam-packed. This little chapter is so full here. And welcome, David Roeder. Glad to see you. And Micah says, you're a wonderful woman. And I always say I'm a mirror. Right? So I'm learning. So John Maxwell says, his travel tips. He says, he's traveled for 35 years and spoken in most countries of the world and all that. And he says, after all this time, I really got it down. He says, when I'm traveling alone, I can really get on a plane fast. I know how to do it, and I don't check a bag and all that. And when I travel with my wife, Margaret, now we have it down too, that we're pretty quick. But when we go with our children and their children, or either of our parents, the more people they add on, the slower it goes. And he says, I wouldn't trade it. He loved the time with the family. He wouldn't trade it for anything. But what he does is he purposely tells himself, okay, we're going to be slower now. It's going to take extra time. It's going to go slow. And he says he happens to be an impatient person. So that's one of his challenges. And he says that when he was younger, as a leader, he would cast the vision for his organization, then leave them behind, right? Because they move too slowly. So he says what he found is that people like this need to make patience a virtue. In other words, they need to work on it. And he said that those of us, though, who are the least inclined to have patience, we need patience in order to develop patience. He said, so how do you get out of this catch-22? So he has some tips, from an impatient person. Number one tip is, he says, make patience a priority. Make it a virtue worth developing, or prioritize it as a virtue worth developing. And There's Arnold Glasgow said the key to everything is patience. I've heard that many times from many speakers. You get the chicken by hatching the egg, not by smashing it. And you may not see the return right away in patience, because patience does immediately benefit the other person, but it may take me a while to see any other kind of return. And we know that's in network marketing too, isn't it? That in the beginning you put a lot of work in without seeing a lot of results, but then it starts to add up. And then over time you see a lot of results. But it starts out needing that patience. And relationships are the same way. Anything worth developing takes time. And the bigger the organization, or the deeper, the more wonderful the relationship, the deeper that it is, the more time that it takes. And when I read this, I thought of my little dog, Charlie. He was my doggie for 15 years, little beige Chihuahua terrier that you may have seen on some of my Facebook Lives. And in the last year or so in his life, he started slowing down. But I didn't realize on our walks maybe that he was, getting a little older, because all the rest of the time he acted like a little puppy. He's so healthy, and I gave him a raw food diet and all that. So he was super, super healthy. I thought, okay, he's going to be with me a few more years. But the last year I didn't know was going to be the last year, but I noticed that on our walks he dawdled a lot. He wanted to smell everything. He always liked to, he was slow anyway, but he was extra slow. And I was like, come on, come on, come on, And I wanted to get some aerobic exercise in, and I thought he was just, being pokey. So I said, come on, come on, come on. And one day he just looked at me like this, like, you don't usually do this. What are you doing? You're rushing me. And I thought, it just struck me, I said, you're right. Go at your own pace. You know what's the best pace for you. So what I ended up doing, and I looked weird to the neighbors, but what I ended up doing was just going at his pace. Then when he wanted to stop and I wanted to keep going, then what I did is I just walked back and forth in place a lot, so that he could take his time and I could still get my my active exercise in. So he stopped to smell something. I'd walk as far as our long leash would go one way, and I'd walk as far as I could go the other way, and then he'd move on a little bit, and then I'd be doing this back and forth a little further down the road or the sidewalk, and then he'd go a little bit farther, and I'd be doing my back and forth a little, further down the sidewalk. And I'm sure it just looked kind of crazy, but we were good. That way I could get my exercise in and he could take his time. So that is what I've heard in relationships too, is nobody has to sacrifice anything. What you do is you search and you find a way till you both win. You find a solution where nobody has to sacrifice anything. I forget the book a long time ago, but that's always stuck with me, is like, you can find a way. You can find a solution. Nobody should have to give up their needs for a relationship. If you really are creative and search, you can find a way. So that's what we did with Charlie. And now, he passed away a year ago, January. So now I walk alone, or I walk a neighbor's dog. And every time I walk, I think of him and wish that he was there to slow me down again. I really do. So that's part of the way that my heart has opened to value people rather than just a dessert in life. Now I see people as more my main course. But I didn't always used to. I think it took some losses, the loss of my mother and relationships and other people, to open my heart to the value that they really were in my life, so that I value the present relationships more in my life, and I value this chapter. What do you guys think? I'm going to share some more stories and everything with you in a minute, but I would love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear your takeaways. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear examples. I'd love to hear any questions. So this is a good time to put those below, and I can see them, and we can respond here to each other. And we can keep a discussion going even after the recording ends. So thanks for participating. I really want to hear from you too. And if you know someone who can use this, I'd love if you tag, share in another Facebook group, maybe a personal growth group or an MLM group, a business group. It applies. This book really applies to all aspects of life, whether business or relationships or even loving ourselves and having patience with ourselves. So we might not see a return right away, but Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, said the greatest virtues are those that are most useful to other people. So we may not see a return to us, but the other people feel the benefits right away of us being decent to them, of us being kind to them, of us being, making way and being patient with others. So that is kind of an immediate return, isn't it? They get that right away. Okay, number 2 tip from an impatient person, John Maxwell, and me too, about how to understand, how to develop relationships. Number 1, it was to make it a priority value that's worth developing. Number 2 tip from John is understand that it takes time to build good relationships. And for example, a group of people slows you down, and the bigger the group, the longer that the relationship, building this quality time takes, because anything worthwhile takes time, isn't it? That's one of the things that makes it valuable to us. But also the depth, the deeper the relationship, the more time it takes to build. And he said, even in the best circumstances, it really takes time to build that relationship strong. Even when you have an instant chemistry, whether personal or in business or anything, all good relationships take time. So I have to tell myself that. I'm, gardener too, grow things, takes time. For the seeds to sprout, for it to come up, it takes time and patience and tending to it like a garden, right? It takes cultivation. That's what the chapter was yesterday with Jeff and Brandy, was a gardening principle that all relationships need cultivating. Okay, so 3 tip for developing patience is practice the exchange principle. And to develop patience, he says, we have to appreciate how other people think and be sensitive to how they feel. So here's some tips about how other people think and feel. Get this. Isn't this true? Okay. Every person thinks his problems are bigger or biggest. His jokes are the funniest. His prayers are the most important. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. His situation is different. His victories are the best, and his faults are the smallest and should be overlooked. Don't we all feel that way? Now that person's behavior, that is inexcusable and they should really change it. But mine, oh, that's so small. That should be overlooked, and nobody should be pointing that out. That doesn't matter as much as that person. That person's behavior, that's something to change. Mine, not so much. Don't we all feel that way? In our heart of hearts, in our honesty. So this is the way, I'll read this again. This is the way every person thinks, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. His problems are the biggest, his jokes are the funniest, his prayers are the most important, his situation is different, his victories are the best, and his faults are the smallest. So if we understand this about other people, we'll get it and, laugh at ourselves too. And welcome, Eric. Glad to see you. Welcome, everybody. In other words, each of us thinks that our circumstances warrant special consideration. People should be extra patient with us because we have the biggest problems, right? We deserve the patience. That's what we think. And maybe we're short on giving it to other people because we just don't know the depth of what they're going through. So he says, every time you feel like being impatient, remember this young woman whose car stalled at a stoplight. And so no matter what she does, she can't get the thing going and the light changes. And there's a car behind her. It was honking. That car could have gone around her, but instead he just leaned on his horn to vent his frustration too. So one more try to get the darn car started. She couldn't. Guy honked. She gets out of her car, goes back to him. He's surprised. He rolls down his window. She goes, tell you what, you go up there and start my car and I'll go back here and I'll honk the horn for you. I thought that was a good response. Like he was, that would help or something. But don't we do that? Don't we try to express our frustration, hurry the other person along? Number 4 tip to get patience is to realize that people have and create problems. And he says the good news is that the people closest to you in your life are going to be your greatest joy. And the bad news is they're going to cause you the greatest problems too. Seems to be a mixed package. He just says, accept that it's going to be, this mixed package, and you can't have one the other. And in fact, he said the more that you climb the leadership ladder, the more problems that you're going to deal with. And it was Bert. There are two leadership experts, Warren Bennis and Bert Nanas, say that top executives spend about 90% of their time with the messiness of people problems. I find that and have read that to be true too. So the more of a leader that you are in network marketing, the more that you can expect this as well. Or of any group, I know a nonprofit organization group that I'm in, that's very, very true. And so there's special training about how to deal with the people problems that will come up, because it's made of humans. That team, that group is made of humans. And we all have our quirks. When my little Charlie my doggie was babysat by a local wonderful dog sitter, he said, and Charlie would just act weird or snap at somebody's toes, because Charlie had a thing about toes, about people's feet. Maybe he was kicked before I'd adopted him from a shelter, I don't know. But he had a thing about people's feet and shoes. He snapped at their shoes. And so this person, my pet sitter, said, oh, don't worry about it. He said, every dog has their quirks. We do too. People do too. We all got our quirks, so we make room for them, right? And he said it's a package deal. So give others the same room that we would like to have. Okay, number 5 tip from John Maxwell about developing patience is identify the areas where people need patience with you. Now, there's a good way to develop patience. When you ask people, and he said, if you don't know, ask your 3 to 5 closest friends or family members, what do you have a hard time with me about? And so John asked his secretary, his assistant, that. And she said, well, you're constantly losing your cell phone and your keys, and you're constantly changing your travel plans and your needs, and you want to be able to call me 24 hours a day, and you hate to say no, and you overschedule yourself, and so projects take longer than the time allotted. And so those are some things that she has to put up with him. And he said, I'm sure there's more, but that's enough, And he says, when I keep in mind that people are patient with me in multiple areas, it helps me to be patient with other people. And so I think that can bring our humility, right, and our compassion for other people, that it's not just one way. I'm not just the only patient one here, or the only one who requires patience. I think we're just all in it together. We're all human. And why can't we try to flow and, be flexible around each other? Number 6, he says, recognize that relationships have give ups, give ins, and give and takes. So the give up is like what you have to give up for that relationship, because like he says, we can have anything, but we can't have everything. And it reminds me of my son, who has a little 8-month-old baby daughter. And he says, I can't read my Nat Geo cover to cover anymore. That's something he had to give up. And I'm saying, yeah, but look what you get in return, right? So, some days it's questionable for him. But me, I give up. I don't have a TV, so in doing my work, which is a relationship too, I've given up TV or entertainment to be able to do the work that I do. And he also says there's give-ins. There's things that we have to do. We have to give in and do things we personally don't like. Like he doesn't like exercise, but he does like being able to live longer for his family and healthily. And me, to do my work, I have to give up. I have to give in and do tech stuff, which is not my favorite. Tech stuff and back end, back control panel stuff, tech, being on the support for, phone with support for hours trying to get something to work. I do not like that stuff. I do not like that part of internet marketing, my work as a coach. But it's something that I have to do in that, or delegate or outsource it. But then he said there's give and takes. These are the things that we do for one another, the special things that we do for one another. And we love it when people do for us, that they're close to us. And welcome, Linda. Haven't seen you for a while. And welcome, Jessica. How are you doing? Gosh, I love seeing you all. Thank you for hopping on. You know what? I forgot to invite people too. Gosh, but I won't take the time right now. But so John Maxwell says that all of these things, you know, giving up, giving in, and the giving take, these are all voluntary. And we have to be flexible. And Joyce Brothers says, the more maneuverable boat should give way to the less flexible craft. Because maybe I can be flexible in this area, not too much of a problem, but it's real hard for another person to be flexible in that. And when I lived in Colorado and we had icy roads sometimes, always the uphill car had the right of way, because if that car stopped for another car coming toward them or over the hill, you know, if a car came over the hill, that car needed to stop while the uphill car was climbing, because if it stopped, it could slide backwards on an icy road. It's harder to go uphill an icy road in Colorado, up a hill, than it is just for the other car to stop and wait till that car has finished its climb. Then it can go downhill. So the car that's having the toughest time, let's say, the car that's suffering the most, the car that's most disadvantaged, would be the one to give way to help. You know, the one that's having an easier time has more time or energy or ability to assist the other or wait for the other or give way for the other. So I always think of that. Yeah, who can be the most flexible in that situation? So he says to serve people, let them do it their way. To mentor people, you know, answer questions, set an example. To value people, listen to their ideas, respect their position, never undermine their authority. To reward them, take good care of those who reward you. And the bottom line, he says, is in the end it's worth it. And then he has some cool discussion questions, which I'll share with you. He says, are there particular personality types that are prone to impatience with people? And that would be the fast-moving types. And the disc personality, that would be the D and the I, the dominant and the influencers, who are faster moving than the others. I'm a little bit slower moving one, the steady person and the conscientious person in the 4-disc personality analysis. So the faster moving ones, how can they slow down a little bit to be able to be in step with the slower ones? One tip that I have is to take a breath. That kind of relaxes my impatience when I do slip into a D type. I'm an S usually, but I can slip into a D and be impatient too. So take a breath and then put myself in the other person's shoes and have some compassion for when somebody's had to do that for me. So those are my tips to slow myself down. Maybe that will help. And he says, what kind of situations make people impatient with others? I helped someone the other day to take their photo, and they were very, very impatient with me. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I was trying to get the light right and do it good for them. That was just a favor for a friend. So I was just trying to get the light right, but they're like, come on, what's taking so long? What's taking so long? I said, you're not making it easy for me to help you. But then I found out yesterday that person just hates getting their picture taken. They really don't like how they look and all that. So that was extra painful for them. And, you know, I could have been a little more humoring and a little more patient, a little more tolerant of their impatience. You know, instead I kind of flashed it back to them. You know, well, you're not making it easy for me. You know, but later I found out they were the person in the more pain. Right? So if I'd realized that, I would have tried to make more room, tried to, you know, continue to help them in spite of the urging that they had. So I know that I am impatient with others when I have a real strong urge and I want to do it my way and I want to get it done now and it just wants to be done and I want to go, okay, I'll go do it myself, you know, or have it my way. So I have to remember that it's we, not me, if I want to go farther. And remember the benefits of doing so. That helps me a lot. Number 5, he says, which of your idiosyncrasies or oddities might cause people to have to be patient with you? You know, ask 3 of your closest friends or family members about that. So thank you for being here. I love to hear your takeaway, your thoughts. your comments. Let's keep the discussion going. I appreciate sitting with you and love seeing each one of you here. Tomorrow, same book, Winning with People, John Maxwell. Jeff and Brandy will be back here. Tomorrow is the celebration principle. The true test of relationships is not only how loyal you are when friends fail, but how thrilled we are when they succeed. So average people do not want other people to go beyond average. Let's be better than average. Let's be exceptional and want the best for our friends. So this is tomorrow, and you can find that show every Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time at the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group. MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. I'll post the link below so that you can always find all the shows there and all the replays, and join that great group. Check out our school, the MLM Millionaire Academy, at mlmmillionaireclub.com/basics. I'll put the link below too. So love you guys. Let's be richer in cultivating good relationships if we really want to be happy. And John Maxwell shows us how so beautifully in here. What a treasure this book is. I'm thinking, ultimately I would like to be married, and what I would like to do is, when I find the right person, what I'd like to do is go through this book with them and discuss it, because there's such great tips for relationships and marriage in here. Thank you all for being here. We can apply this to business, personal relationships, everything, because it's said that all problems are communication problems, and everything revolves around relationships. So hope you enjoy this book too, or the replays, or just come on and listen. Love to have you. And we'll see you next time, and every Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time at the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group. Everybody take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.